Good morning and welcome back to WSBW. We should be working right now radio. I'm your host, Michael, and as with me as always is my good co-host,
Alex.
And it is 9:30 a.m. Thank you to all the listeners, wherever you are for listening to us, whether it's late at night or early in the day. We've got a lot to talk about today. We're going to begin with Bitcoin mining.
I must say, today is going to be a bloody good show.
Well, we're still doing it. Yes, it absolutely is going to be a good show. Goodness me. Okay, I thought we had someone coming in, but good, we can talk on the radio now.
I didn't know we're going to do British accents now. It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll keep doing this, maybe we won't. You never know with this podcast. That's why you guys tune in, because you never know what we're going to talk about. But yeah.
Where'd you get the British accent from?
From Britain.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Actually, a couple places. I had this one Australian improv teacher who kind of had a British accent because he was Australian, but he'd also just do British accents. Right. I got a British roommate, and also I listened to a British guy on radio.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that makes sense. You have a British roommate?
Yeah, he's like this old British guy. He used to be a boilermaker.
Oh, what's he doing here?
I don't know. I try to understand the same thing, but from what I understand, he just kind of like goes wherever the jobs take him. So he's all over the place for some reason. But yeah, he once worked on the Royal Air Force fighter jets. Like he would help assemble them.
The Royal Air Force? Okay.
Yeah, this was probably back in
what a perfect transition, because I wanted to give my Winston Churchill impression.
Okay, well, give the impression. Go for it.
Okay. The Royal Army has just given word that Heil Hitler has plans to invade the British Isles, which has often been thought of before. Once again, we will be called upon to defend our island nation against tyranny, if necessary 4 years, if necessary alone. Yes, it is true that many once great and famous states of Europe have fallen to the Gestapo and the odious apparatus of Nazi rule, but we will never flag or waver. We will fight them in the hillsides. We'll fight them in the valleys. We'll fight them with ever-growing confidence in the skies. We'll fight them in the streets. We will never surrender.
Damn, you had that whole thing memorized?
Yeah, it's because
nice.
I just love history. So
hearing that, though, it kind of makes me think that like the people listening to that on the radio broadcast would just be like, "Here we go again, another world war with Germany."
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we got to show these guys a second time why it's a bad idea.
Yeah, that's after.
Because in that speech, he just sounds tired and like, we got to do this again, everybody.
Yes. So the Royal Army had just retreated from France because they just like lost. They just lost France, and everybody's coming back home because Great Britain had just sent a bunch of troops to protect France, but they had lost pretty much and retreated, and they were back in the island of the UK.
And they're like, "Oh shit, we got to take this a lot more seriously now." But speaking of islands and water, something I found pretty interesting was the news story that an old 19th century hydroelectric power plant has been repurposed for Bitcoin mining. You heard about this?
Yeah, you mentioned it to me. It seems interesting for sure. Well, what's your take on it?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's cool, or it's interesting because basically it's more profitable to mine Bitcoin than to just produce electricity for people to use. And hearing that just kind of made me think wow, like an actual power plant devoted to Bitcoin mining. It makes me wonder if other power producers are going to notice this and think, oh, okay, well, why don't we just set up a nuclear plant or a coal plant or a gas plant and just dedicate it to mining Bitcoin.
Well, that is the thing, right? That it's so bad for the environment to mine Bitcoin with any other methods, because this is renewable energy, right? So that's the biggest concern, right?
Right. I mean, I'm sure since it's renewable, it probably has a lower operating cost, but yeah, I mean, obviously it's better if it's renewable because there's no pollutants going into the atmosphere, and it's really, not causing any pollution.
Yeah, because I believe to this day, most of the country gets their power from coal, right? Coal power plants?
We get a good amount. I know we get 20% from nuclear power. The rest, I think it's 5 to 10% is solar and wind. or less, and the rest is either coal or natural gas. I know that more recently we have been using more natural gas, so our carbon emissions are actually going lower. But yeah, we still use coal.
Wow. So no, it's a much better if we're gonna mine Bitcoin, and if it's profitable, usually that's where people are gonna go to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would love to mine Bitcoin myself, but yeah, that is the biggest issue where you're like, the electric bill, you have to factor that in if you're gonna like mine Bitcoin at home or something.
I wonder if people are gonna like find like cute little ways to do it, because I would used to go to these maker fairs with my dad, and we would see these people who would like take old wood chips and burn them down to create like methane gas to power a car. So I wonder if like people are going to become like little artisans and be like, oh yeah, I take my coffee grounds and I boil them down to a liquid and combine them with hydrosulfuric acid, and I use that to power the machine to mine Bitcoin.
That would be nice. I mean, it would just be nice to move to a renewable power source in general, like for the whole United States. That's what we need to do, right? Absolutely, yeah. Nuclear would be the easiest way to go. Yeah, nuclear would. And obviously all the other stuff that they've been working on. Tesla's been working on that like smart house where like he has a company that does solar power. Oh yeah. Shoot, I'm forgetting the name of it. Let me do a quick Google search. Jamie, pull that up for me. Hey Jamie, a little faster, Jamie? Yeah, I mean, it's basically, it was bought out by Tesla, even though it was his own company. Thanks, Jamie. Yeah, they're just calling it Solar Roof. Solar Roof? Yeah, Solar Roof. And when I was looking into that company, it seems like it's the future, you know? Yeah, absolutely, because, I mean, it's just kind of like a passive infrastructure that's just going to be integrated. Yeah, I'm all for it, honestly. I hope it gets accepted because... I like mining stocks. That would push the mining stock prices up. Oh, wait, would it? Yeah, because I mean, basically they'd be using a lot of copper, copper, silver, gold to some degree. But anyway, speaking of all the things that make electronics, we also want to talk about the Pixel 5a that just came out recently. The Pixel 5a coming from Google. It's starting at $449 for the base level model. So it's a budget-friendly phone. It has great specs. I believe it's still running the Snapdragon. I forget which one though. Snapdragon 12 or something like that, I think. But no, that's not what it's called. What? Oh no. The Snapdragon. I think I messed up the name of the Snapdragon. Oh, no worries. So let's get to your opinion on it so far. Yeah, well, I mean, it's got a pretty big battery. It's like 46 or 4,700 milliamp hours. There's some pros and cons to it. It has fast charging, but apparently the fast charging is a little limited. So from what I hear, even if you use fast charging, it still could take anywhere from like 30 to 40 minutes just to get up halfway. That could just be because it is a larger battery. Right, and it's actually going to be one of the few, I guess, like flagship phones that are left giving you the fast charging brick in the box. So like Samsung's abandoned that, so has Apple. Neither one of them will give you the fast charger in the box. This is one of the few companies that is still doing it. Yeah, I mean, Google is, they do some things that are pretty cool. This one does not have wireless charging though, but you did say that it actually kept the audio jack, right? Yeah, so it ended up keeping the headphone jack, so I'm not sure who's still using it, but if you are still using it, good for you. It's going to be, this is the phone for you. Yeah. I've read something about like its 5G capabilities being kind of limited, like it works in the lower bands of 5G, so it technically is 5G, but won't necessarily be using it to its full capacity like other phones could. Honestly though, I do like the Pixel A series. I know they're budget phones, but they have the fingerprint sensor on the back. I am actually a fan of that. No, these days budget phones are right there trying to compete with the flagships, you know? If I'm going to move over to an Android, it would probably be, if not some sort of Samsung of the Pixels, I do like the A series. One thing, tell me what you think of this, but one thing I really like about the Pixels is the haptic feedback. Like when I'm typing on a Pixel, just the sound, just the feedback I'm getting on the screen. It's not so much like I feel like I'm clicking a button so much as I'm tapping on like a drum head.
like the skin of a drum head almost. I get that kind of sensation.
That's okay. Yeah, I mean, I see what you mean. Also, I guess another thing they're talking about is that the notch practically non-existent. You know, they have like a little pinhole, top left corner, and it seems small. It seems like modern, but for the price, it's a really good phone. The only thing that I always say about Google phones is the reason that it's so cheap. The ugly truth is that they like are notorious for taking your data and selling it.
They're also made of plastic, but I mean, is that true?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Anytime you buy a Google phone, be aware. Actually, keep that in mind for almost every budget smartphone you buy. Like, even if it's like Metro PCS branded or if it's Boost branded or whatever. If it's a budget phone, the reason it's so cheap is because, like, number one, it's locked to that carrier. In this case, Pixel isn't locked to any carrier. You could get it unlocked. But stuff like that is because they've already sold your data to someone. So, for example, like, your searches are going to, like, for a Google phone, your searches are going to go directly into Google's algorithms and, like, to be able to study you, you know?
Yeah, so they're basically taking your data and passing the savings back onto you.
Exactly.
Which is, okay.
So
Thanks, Google.
that's actually the reason they even got into the hardware side of things. Not only, like, obviously to make money, but because they knew that they could compete, because if they subsidize the phone to be cheaper, but the compromise is that they take some of your data, that's how they make the phone cheaper. And I think there is options. I think if, like, you go into the settings and you play with the settings, I believe there's probably ways so they don't take your data. But I think
they're probably making so much money off of this too.
Yeah, I think the default setting is for you to give up everything to them.
Well, yeah, I mean, they want you to hook up a Google account and have everything saved on your Google Cloud.
Exactly. Just like the Chromebooks, man. Like, the Chromebooks are the same shit.
Yeah.
Why do you think you're getting a freaking computer for $100? Like, you think it's because they're nice people, or you think that they have such a competitive edge on their competition? It's because they get all your data and they're keeping it and they're selling it.
Yeah, that is something to think about. So yeah, maybe I won't get that Pixel after all.
Google is the most notorious company for taking your data and selling it, by far.
I'd like to know how much they make off that, but I don't know if they're ever going to be that transparent.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's their whole business model. That's the reason, you know, Google's a multi-billion-dollar company, is because they are, like, the best at selling ads and using, like, you're the product, you know, and that's the way Facebook operates. Any free service that you use, you're the product. I mean, it's been said a million times, but, you know, we'll say it again.
Yeah, I barely even use Facebook anymore, kind of for reasons like that.
Oh, yeah, Facebook's totally dead, man. Facebook's dead.
I'll have to look into it, but I mean, from what I understand, Apple is fairly decent when it comes to managing your privacy.
Yes, so that's why we give so much props to Apple, even though Apple has like a million flaws, and even sometimes with privacy they do mess up, but at least the bare minimum is that they're probably still the industry leader in privacy, because they make most of their money selling hardware.
Yeah.
So when you make most of your money selling hardware, at least you have an incentive to protect the customer that you're selling to.
Yeah, I mean, there is something to say or to be said about having a stance, you know, in terms of your ethics. Like, you know, I know it's corny to constantly see companies say, like, we stand for helping this or doing that or whatever. But when they actually implement it, I mean, it is kind of like a guiding force that really propels them into the future. I mean, it is a long-term effective strategy, I think, when you treat the customer well.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, being known for quality, being known for privacy, all these things, you know, they go in your favor.
Yeah, and maybe they don't have like the fastest charging phone, but I mean, when it comes to that, you know, that tips me toward getting an iPhone.
Yeah, and I'm always on the edge, because like they're pretty much the only game in town if you want privacy. There's a couple other phones, like Fairphone, if you ever heard of it.
Is that the one that's like go ahead and tell me.
Oh, we should cover Fairphone. Actually, we should do an in-depth breakdown. Unfortunately, they don't sell in the U.S. because I wanted to buy one, and I think there's only one other option that is similar. Okay, let me break down the concept.
Is this the phone that has like it doesn't use Google? It's like they call it the Freedom Phone, or is that something different?
So I think we might be talking about the same thing. It uses zero slave labor, so it's not made in China. It's everything is completely fair. So like the workers who made it made a fair salary. You're paying a fair price, and also your data is 1,000% sealed. Like it uses some sort of encryption where no one can get to your data.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think that's a super interesting concept. The only thing is that Fairphone, I know for sure they don't sell it in the U.S. It's only for overseas for now.
Okay, well, we'll have to petition Congress. But moving on, I don't know if you've all noticed people, but I've seen a couple videos, literally 2, of people
moving on from tech?
Yeah,
All
unless
right,
you
so
want to...
Tech section completed.
Completed with the tech section. What's the deal with all the duct tape being used on airlines? Like, I saw a video of a guy who was like freaking out because he didn't get first class, and he was like, "My dad's rich" or something, and so he was being rowdy. So they ducked him to a seat. And
why don't you play the video?
Want to play the video? Oh, because I don't have it pulled up.
Oh, okay, we'll pull up the video.
Okay.
Oh wow! I'm really wondering what he did.
I think it'll show in a second.
Oh, he's slurring his words. He's drunk.
Oh, yeah?
Wow.
Let me fast forward to when he gets thrown down to his chair.
No, so if for the people listening, it's that video of a guy getting duct tape to the seat because he was just being like non-compliant on a plane. He sounds drunk.
He's like making empty threats too.
I don't. Oh, he just got punched in the face. All right, he got punched in the face. He's punching him back. Now they're wrestling him to the floor. All right. They're duct taping him to the seat. So that's what Michael was talking about. I guess it's a common thing now to duct tape people to seats.
Well, it's more common than I thought it was. Yeah, so a few people have been duct taped recently, and it just kind of made me wonder, like, is this something they prep the pilots for? Do they just hand them like a roll of duct tape and say, "Hope you don't have to use it on this flight"?
Yeah, for real. I mean, the thing is that after all this time on a plane and stuff, like after all this time of planes being around, you have to assume that eventually there's going to be some altercation, some fight. Like, we are just humans at the end of the day. Like, how you think everyone's behaved at all times, like for like all these thousands of flights throughout the years, you know?
I know, yeah, but I can't imagine doing that on a plane and just like going insane. Like you said, he was probably drunk. He probably was, but
oh no, my favorite video. You want to see somebody go insane? My favorite video.
What's that?
Is the Burger King guy.
The Burger King guy?
Have you ever seen the Burger King guy?
What happens in that one?
Oh my god, I wonder if I in the YouTube. No, it's probably copyrighted by now, but. So there's this horrible video of a Burger King of a person who's just out of his mind. He has face tattoos and a Burger King crown on. Yes, so you already know this guy is just a lunatic. He gets in an altercation with a woman, but when the video starts, you don't see that altercation. All you see is him screaming and being mad, and. There's a point where they start telling him to calm down, and he goes, "Really? You're telling me to calm down? She just hit me." And they're like, "Sir, we know, but we're trying to handle the situation." And he's like, "Are you?" He just like flies off the handle. He drops the N-bomb at the top of his lungs.
Yeah, no.
No, but literally, it's like one of those things where you don't expect it.
Yeah.
So it's so shocking that you're like, you can't help but laugh. Like, it's
man.
so fucked.
He also probably had everyone on his side too for a second, and then. Way to go, dude. Now nothing's going to get done.
Yeah, no, it was insane. If you guys are, I wonder if I could. It's probably copyrighted, so I probably can't put it in our YouTube version of this podcast. But if you guys are wondering, just Google racist Burger King guy on airplane or something like that.
It's high culture.
Yeah, no, it's literally, it's so. This video is legendary. All right, legendary.
I'll take your word for it. I'll have to check it out. But yeah, another thing on my list of things I'm going to make a Seinfeld type joke out of. It's what's also the deal with roundabouts?
Okay.
Specifically, we're in California here.
Break it down.
And over the past maybe 5 years, I haven't noticed roundabouts everywhere, but I have noticed a few. And specifically, what annoys me is not large roundabouts, because near where we are right now, there's a large roundabout for like a lot of cars.
Yes.
And I think that works. But what I really hate is being in kind of a nice, I guess you could say, rich area, and coming to a four-way intersection, stop signs with a roundabout divider in the middle. And the reason that annoys me, it's like you guys just petitioned the city to put a roundabout in here, but you didn't get rid of the stop signs. So you don't have a roundabout. All you have is just a giant roadblock in the middle of the road, which makes it harder to go left or right, because the stop signs are still there. They just have a roundabout divider in the center of the road.
Logically, that makes zero sense of their stop signs, which I have seen technically, even here in Long Beach, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But in general, there is a reason that roundabouts were invented, and it's hilarious to see like people complain about roundabouts because, like, statistically, city planners have already done the math, guys. Roundabouts are more efficient than four-way light stops. It will make traffic flow easier in a roundabout versus a four-way intersection.
I will say, the large roundabout that's near us, which, is made to accommodate, take the place of a giant intersection, does work pretty well.
Yeah, no, and the thing about it is like, it's hilarious. Like, you'll talk to people, even here in Long Beach, people who are maybe, new to the city, they'll be like, oh my god, I hate the roundabout. Like, they don't get it. Like, it's because in America we don't have a lot of them, so they don't understand how they work. So they start going like, I almost crashed, I'm so scared, blah blah blah. You'll be like, it's not rocket science.
Right, just
you yield. You yield. You look for the car coming. No cars are coming, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Just stay in your lane, check your mirrors, make sure no one's going to hit you. That's it. Signal.
Yeah, there's a lot of
drivers. A big thing is signal.
There's a lot of drivers out there who would just 1, 2, 3, fuck it, hope I don't die.
That's ridiculous, man.
Oh, man. Yeah, I see that on the roundabout too, but even still, it does a good job of managing the inflow and outflow of traffic.
Yeah, so the statistics and the studies have been done already. They help with traffic. They just simply do. And
no electricity needed to operate a light either.
Yeah, that's actually, good point. We need the big roundabouts. The small roundabouts, yes. And the funny part is I've seen them in rich areas. You're very right about that. Or it's like there's just randomly a roundabout with a stop sign.
Personally, I think they'd like to, it's just their attempt to feel like they're living in a cultured area because they visited Europe 1 or 2 or 3 times.
Right.
And I'd like a roundabout where I live.
That's so true.
Let's put it in the middle of the street. Okay, thanks.
Makes no sense, but hey, I don't know.
I've seen quite a few cars almost get into an accident because of these small little roundabouts. Not the big ones that you're talking about, but these ones that make no sense. Anyway, that's my little gripe.
No, but people will. It's just in America, people will get in accidents in the big roundabouts, but it's because I feel like we just don't teach roundabouts here. That's why.
No, we don't, and we'll have to start doing that now. I mean, if they're more efficient, let's go that route. But that pretty much ends it for my my little dig on what's going on in the world today. But everybody, now we want to move on to a bigger topic. Maybe you want to introduce this one.
All right. This is one I'm passionate about. I'm hyped. I'm a big fan of the manosphere. I'm a big fan of listening to all types of opinions when it comes to intersexual relationships, when it comes to dating, when it comes to everything. Okay? So the big topic in the manosphere right now is I guess you want to start with the gossip first or the substance? Which one do you want to hit first?
I guess we can go ahead and start with the gossip on this one.
Okay. So the gossip is that that Myron Gaines and from the Fresh and Fit podcast is beefing with Abba and Preach from the Abba and Preach YouTube channel. These are both huge influencers in the manosphere, like huge influencers of the red pill community.
Arguably, like maybe the two biggest.
Yeah, probably one of the two biggest. Like everybody, a lot of the big people have been censored. A lot of people have been kicked off of YouTube. Blah blah blah. But these two guys are super influential in the space, and it's crazy to see them go at it. So the original beef started with Abba and Preach, to be honest. They were the ones who came out with the video. They were kind of the aggressors, but to their point, their position is that they only attacked the idea. They didn't make any personal attacks. That's their point of view. So the idea was that they believe that it's fine if men feel the need to go see a lady of the night and pay, versus Fresh and Fit's philosophy, which is you should never pay for the bedroom fund.
Yeah, that she should pay you. No, I'm joking.
Well, this D ain't free, bro. But yeah, so that's like the two competing philosophies, and at the time, it seemed like it wasn't going to be that big of a deal, but for sure, I believe the Abba and Preach video, I don't think it was that personal. I think a lot of it was attacking substance.
Mm-hmm. You said like 90% substance, 10% personal attack.
Yeah, I believe it was 90% substance attacks and 10% personal attacks. But but Fresh and Fit podcast, in their reaction, they seemed super angry and like hurt and like kind of emotional about the whole thing. And I mean, I'm not saying it in necessarily a bad way, but
you wouldn't be the first to say that. I've seen a bunch of videos on YouTube saying that exact same thing.
Right? That's what I was thinking. I'm like, I get it. And I bet you they're in a situation where your idol becomes your rival, because they probably believe, hey, Abba and Preach are OGs to the red pill game, and they came at us and they came after us. So now I feel like that's fucked up. Like, we let you into our podcast, we let you into our space, and you come attack us. Even if it's only 10% personal, you're going to take it way further, because these are people that you have interacted with. Even if you're not friends with them, like, and I know Abba and Preach have said on several occasions, like, they're not friends. Like, they just know each other, they're associates, they went on the podcast, that's it. So it ended up getting a reaction from Fresh and Fit of just like pure vitriol and anger. Just like they came back saying your wife probably looks like a beluga whale, like all these personal digs at Abba and Preach.
Yeah. I saw that clip and I was like, whoa, damn, he's really going for it.
Yeah, and at the end of it all, Abba and Preach weren't even the ones who said this. It was Fresh and Fit that were the first ones to say, let's do a boxing match. And
that was a little weird.
From my point of view, violence, like, a majority of the time is an emotional reaction. I get, like, it really is, because unless it's used in self-defense, if you say, if you are the one who is the aggressor and says, like, oh, let's resort to violence, that means that your words aren't enough to get out of a situation, or your ideas not strong enough to withstand criticism.
Exactly, yeah. It'd kind of be like just someone saying, like, it just basically making an ad hominem attack at you. Because, yeah, exactly, like, you're right. You have nothing else to say.
Yeah, it's pretty much at the level of an ad hominem attack, where you're just like, oh, I can't resolve this issue with words. Let's go in the boxing ring. Let's figure it out. And
they kind of said, when they were talking about that, it seemed like they were kind of like half joking, half serious, half nervous. It came off really weird. And I was like, oh, okay. Weird.
I would get it. I mean, now on Abba and Preach's side, I get it now, where they're like, oh, let's go in the boxing ring. Let's figure it out physically. which sucks. Like, why would you even have to go there? But they said let's figure it out physically, and it was Fresh and Fit that ended up, I guess, chickening out or not going through with it. I don't know.
Yeah, you said they sent out some sort of truce. It was like a little message saying we're just going to focus on helping guys out in the dating world and giving them advice.
So yeah, that's when unfortunately that's the way the world kind of works. Like, money talks, bullshit walks. Like, they saw the numbers, they saw their revenue going down, they saw the hate coming in. They don't want to be part of a hate mob. They don't want to be the target of a hate mob. So they apologized. They apologized for their emotional response. They apologized for the ad hominem attacks. They apologized for everything. And now they just want to pretend like it never happened and move on. I say that good for them. I'm glad they saw the error of their ways, but we all know the reason they saw the error of their ways. It's because the crowd and the people started booing them, throwing tomatoes at them, telling them to shut the fuck up and stop this bullshit.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, the way they were talking, it kind of made me wonder if like their own hype or their own hype around themselves got to them, you know, and they just kind of like got caught up in it and were like super overconfident.
Yeah, no, there comes a point where you just become full of yourself. I'm sure it'll happen to anybody who blows up that quickly, who feels like you're on top of the world, like you're the center of the universe, or you feel like anyone who attacks you, you have to go at them like 20 times harder.
Especially when you're also known on YouTube for basically shutting down bad bitches and girls who give attitude 24/7, you know?
I know, and if that's what you're known for, I guess you kind of have to respond a certain way.
Yeah, I guess you feel like you have to maintain that notoriety, I guess.
But I think the way Fresh and Fit would have won is if they stuck to the ideas and the principles versus all this talk about your wife this and that. If they just stuck to the topic and said, I don't believe you should be paying for the bedroom fund. I think that everything is better when it comes naturally, when a woman has that burning desire to do it for you from her heart, is just going to be way better than ever paying for it. And they just stuck to their original arguments, maybe reiterated some, maybe rebutted some of the points that were made in the original video. That would have worked out way better. And they just reacted so unemotionally to ABBA and Preach's personal response. And even if they would have called ABBA and Preach out on a segment and been like, yo, this 10% right here, why? Like, why do you have to go there? And you would have shamed them on their, like, energy, you know?
Yeah, I also kind of wonder if any of this would have even, erupted in the first place had they just kind of had like a one-on-one conversation, whether it was like over the internet or in person, debating this topic. Because, yeah, I mean, I'm not well versed in the whole, in exactly what they said, but I don't know. I just kind of feel like, these are really interesting topics, and the people who are talking about them are,
Go ahead. The only thing I wanted to say is that let's pause it real quick. You're gonna catch up on the video and we'll watch it together, and then we'll come back.
All right.
Let's give your opinion on it.
And we are back.
Okay, so now Michael is well versed in what happened. I caught him up on the original video that started the entire debacle, the entire eruption. So, what was your opinion on that original video, and what was your opinion on Fresh and Fit's response to it?
Good God, what a smashing video. I'm surprised they didn't kill each other. No, after watching that video, I'm kind of surprised there's any beef at all, because that was not a very scathing video, in my opinion.
Yeah, I rewatched it, and I kind of I changed my opinion. I feel like it was like 5%.
They made maybe 1%, because they made fun of Fresh Prince CEO a little bit.
Yeah, they made fun of him for saying "I want your soul," so that was like a little bit personal.
That is meme worthy, though. I like that phrase.
But it was a joke. They were like busting his balls about it, and even when Fresh and Fit did a reaction, like they were making fun of it too. So like that was not even bad. They ended up just taking so many of the ideas and like the contrary beliefs personally, when you could have just responded with your own video and just breaking it down, breaking down their points, reevaluating everything they said.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, it's a very interesting, like, philosophical debate. But
yeah, let's get out of the gossip and let's go into the philosophical.
Okay. Yeah. So the whole argument was basically why you're for or against prostitution. And Fresh and Fit's Fresh and Fit's argument was that you shouldn't hire a prostitute because that's laziness on your end. You should be out there trying to get women. I don't know if they made a case against prostitution as being bad for society or anything, but I think it was just more of like a personal thing. Like you should go out and kind of on your own merits get a girl.
Yeah, and let me since I have I have a lot of knowledge on this subject when it comes to like the manosphere and like philosophies of this and stuff. I noticed that Myron Gaines, okay, obviously he, instead of just attacking the ideas, he went to all the ad hominems, blah blah blah. That was the worst thing he could possibly do. He got the worst reaction, and it was horrible. But the perfect rebuttal is the fact that he says he wants respect from a woman. What Abba said, it was that he doesn't believe that you necessarily 100% of the time get respect from women you're trying to date anyways, right? So there's no point in even bringing that debate up.
We should be working right now. Be right with you. All right, and we're back. Thanks for sticking around with us. We are just going to kind of recap what we're talking about here regarding whether prostitution should be allowed or not, I think is what the general argument is.
Yeah, and it was just like a debate between Abba and Preach versus Fresh and Fit, and this whole philosophy of Myron Gaines really just doubling down that he wants mostly respect from women. But the reason that I said that's like not a good argument was because, yeah, what Abba and Preach said was true. Like, you're not going to get respect from a lot of people that you date. Mm-hmm. Like, just because you dated them once or like you hooked up with them, whatever, that doesn't mean that you're entitled to their respect or anything, right? Right,
you earn respect. And the same goes with, I think, men and women, or like men's respect for women, too. It's a different respect, but I feel like, not all men respect all the women that they date during or afterward.
And I think even though like everyone in the conversation is super knowledgeable about these topics, I do think that instead of the ad hominem attacks that Myron Gaines was using, he should have flipped the script on him. Because if you look back in some of the videos, Abba and Preach suggest people to go listen to Patrice O'Neal. Because Abba, that's like the godfather of all this, and it wasn't even called the Red Pill back then. But Abba and Preach say, go listen to Patrice O'Neal, and I happen to be like a giant fan of Patrice O'Neal, and he actually touches on this subject in the past. Back when he was on Opie and Anthony, he touched on it and even said the prostitutes in America don't give you that same treatment that a prostitute overseas can give you. And obviously I'm not like the most knowledgeable guy on like the real life stuff, but I'm knowledgeable in the scriptures. I'm knowledgeable in the works of these people that they talk about, you know? So for example, Patrice O'Neal tells this story about how like he would go to Colombia or he would go to Brazil. And apparently, his experiences between like the women in Brazil versus the women here, he says there is an issue with respect with the prostitutes in America, where the American prostitutes do look at you like, oh, look at this sleazebag, look at this piece of shit coming here, judging, like the prostitutes are judging you in America.
Right, that's like a lack of self-awareness, isn't it?
It's insanity, it's totally insanity, but that is what Patrice O'Neal says. Versus going to another country and going to Brazil, where maybe the prostitutes are just higher quality, that's what, from Patrice's opinion, that was his point of view.
Yeah, maybe what the Red Pill boils down to a lot of the time is just men in America have a problem with American women. I mean, maybe that's just a giant factor that no one's talking about.
I think that is, and that's the bad part is like Myron, instead of the ad hominem attacks, just stick to the facts, I would say. But obviously, a lot of these things are like subjective. A lot of them are like, it's point of view. We're really it's like sports commentating. Like no one can ever be perfectly right and perfectly wrong. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like it's kind of two sides of the same coin almost. It's just like trying to. I think it's just kind of. The red pill seems to me like an attempt mostly just to just kind of become aware of what's going on and how things actually work rather than just kind of
how you wish they could be.
How you wish they could be, or how you're told they would be, or how you weren't told anything at all. Like I think I think growing up, that's probably the biggest problem is that like this is my little thing against boomers, but boomers have in my opinion not readied the next generations of society at all in terms of like I don't know, like any advice. In my personal opinion, it's just kind of like do what you're told. And
well, no one was prepared for all this, honestly. No one was prepared for like the dating game to go so virtual, to go online, to oh my god, the sexual liberation starting with the birth control pill and women's ability to control the reproductive system.
Yeah.
No one was prepared on how that would affect intersexual dynamics.
No, I don't think so at all. I mean, it pretty much. I mean, at the time, it was obviously seen as a liberating invention, but yeah, long term, I don't think people saw what could happen, or just kind of like, I don't know, just how to responsibly navigate it. Just almost be honest with each other. I think just a lack of honesty is a big problem too. Like because. It seems like women don't want to outright say how they feel or risk being like dejected from a group, because I think that matters a lot to them. And you know, I think there's just so much conflicting information that it's just been confusing for a while.
Yeah, definitely. But let's jump back into the nitty gritty, which was the original topic. Pro prostitution or anti prostitution.
Yeah.
Let's take it from a individual level and how that affects a male psyche versus like the political aspect of it. Would you recommend like so from my point of view, it's always been I can't afford it, so I'm not gonna do it.
I mean, I don't know what the prices are. I'm sure that in LA, I'm sure they're inflated a little bit, but you probably get a good deal for what you pay for here.
Yeah, I actually disagree. Well, yeah, for what you pay for, you're right. I think that like my budget would like let's say I was like single back in the day. It would have been like $200, and that would have been like. And I would be hurting, bro. I'd be like, damn, $200? I could use this for so many other things besides pussy.
Right.
And let me be honest, I don't think there's anything like worth having in LA for $200. Like it's probably like you're probably gonna get like legit like Abba and Preach said, it's probably gonna be a streetwalker, and like I don't want that shit. I might because then that's where I think a lot of the anti sex work comes from is just like dealing with the streetwalkers or like ever even just like witnessing them. It definitely makes you like believe and think like, oh yeah, like
well, they don't dress like normal people for one thing. I'm serious. Like I've seen streetwalkers or whatever you want to call them. I've seen them come out of hotels in like early morning and like they're dressed in like leopard print and just not something I find attractive. It's like, ugh, are you trying to overtly look like you do what you do?
Exactly. But I can imagine, in theory, it's all theoretical, but if you're gonna pay like $2,000, like if $2,000 is nothing to you, and you're like, oh, I just want to and that's what I don't know. That's another reason the red pill doesn't really like this philosophy, which is you're spending $2,000 on an orgasm. And there's something that feels wrong about that because as a business person, as a red pill, like kind of alpha personality, thinking about spending $2,000 on something you can get for free, just from a business perspective, is technically like just not something you'd want to do.
Well, if you're an alpha, I mean, it's probably not too difficult to get women if you're like an alpha Chad.
Yeah, but, that's true.
I was thinking for a second, maybe that is partially. Because they talk about like men's resentment towards women. Maybe in one way, what the part of the problem maybe is that men value women's time in their company, but women don't value men's time in company. Because in this way, we're talking about a one-way transaction. Well, I mean, not one way, but I mean, it's men paying for women's time.
But sexual time specifically.
Sexual time specifically, yes, but I think psychologically it probably plays into I guess men's depiction of a men's understanding of the dynamic between men and women. So I guess if men think that, we've heard of the Pareto distribution, like 80% of women go for 20% of the guys. I get that. But, if men in general pretty much get the sense that women really only care about status and money and not much else, and they don't value most men's time, then it's kind of like all right, we're just gonna, it's kind of, I think, where MGTOW comes from, where it's just like, all right, you do you have a fun life, I'm uninterested now.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that MGTOW has come out. Men going their own way, which is is a good thing, considering how historically men do not go their own way when they feel like they're getting the short end of the stick. They will, and if you oppress them sufficiently, they will go their own way for a while, but it has historically horrible ramifications when only the top 10% of men are hoarding all the women and resources, because step one is obviously the resources, right? And step two is the women. But for example, in during the Russian Revolution, right before the Bolshevik Revolution, that's when things in Russia were the worst they've ever been, right?
Right.
But I don't want to get too sidetracked, but
no, let's go into this.
If you want to just boil it down to super simplistic things, it's if men feel like they're getting shafted by a very small group of men for a long enough time, there's revolutions that come with it. But okay, don't misconstrue my words and say just because they don't have women, that means there's gonna be a revolution. I just, in generalities, I guess. Well,
I feel like that kind of plays into a larger picture too. I mean, during the Russian Revolution, right before that, they were embroiled in a huge war. They were in massive debt. There was a small upper class that was pretty much disconnected from the people.
Exactly.
And this issue, I think, kind of does reflect economics, because
that's what I want to. That's literally my point I was trying to get to. So go ahead.
Yeah. Well, ever since the 2008 crisis, what was that? I think the number of, I think divorces are men who, virgin men, or just men outside of relationships or something like that, has gone up. And if women are looking at men for, in their minds, it seems if they can provide for them, that's always going to be something they consider, status and money. And if that's something that they consider, if that's a pretty much a constant, then the state of our economy pretty much makes it more difficult for men to attain economic well-being, status, etc. Just because of the hyperinflation of the money supply and just the lack of job opportunities.
Theoretically, Fresh and Fit always says regular women don't want regular men anymore. But I don't agree 100%. I do believe that women still want regular men, as long as regular men can provide a regular middle class income, and I believe that the middle class incomes are dying. Yeah, and they've been leaving this country for decades. Wages have been stagnant for decades.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't blame the women 100%, because they're always gonna, right. Red pill is to know the truth, right, that women are always gonna want security.
Oh yeah, my mom and dad, they love each other, but my mom definitely. My dad's not looking at my mom going oh, what a provider, but my mom certainly is.
Yeah, and and there's just less and less jobs that will let men be providers. And how can a society survive like that?
Long term, I don't think it can personally. It's basically going to be what I think is going to happen. I think it's going to basically be just kind of a long stretch of this getting worse and worse and worse, and the divide between those who have and those who don't just getting bigger. And it's going to kind of be like this hierarchical society. And I think in some way
the whole theory is like, hopefully, like, we stop the stratification, right? I hope it doesn't keep going this way.
We'll see, man. I think I don't think they're going to change until it pretty much collapses or gets so bad that there's no other option than to do something else.
Yeah, that'd be horrible.
I mean, with fewer job opportunities, if women are expected to earn their own money, then things like prostitution or OnlyFans makes a lot more sense.
It sucks because all the good paying jobs are going to crazy highly skilled labor, like coding and tech jobs. There's like the fastest growing sector is like tech, right?
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of jobs that pay you six figures there, but
not everyone is cut out for that exact kind of job.
Guess what? Yeah, like in my grandparents' time, the job that provided a middle class was physical labor jobs that you could do out of high school.
Right.
Now the jobs that provide a stable income are like super technical tech jobs, and it's like you can't do that straight out of high school.
Right, and there's very good economic reasons for that, because like pretty much all the manufacturing jobs have gone to China, Mexico, and they basically moved them outside of the U.S., and that has a huge impact too, because back then the dollar was valued more, and you could get by on fewer dollars, which you could make with that physical labor job.
Yeah. But damn, we keep getting away from the original topic, though. But I love the conversation.
Oh, prostitution, right?
Would you ever do it if you?
Personally, nah. I don't, maybe it's one of those things where once you take the first plunge, it becomes easy.
Yeah.
But personally, I don't want to, because I'd probably take the side of fresh and fit, which is I should be able to get it myself, and women should want to be around me. It's kind of like it's an altruistic take.
Okay. Yeah, as a man, this is the other topic that in the same realm that I want to discuss.
Yeah.
If you're making $100,000 a year, and an escort is charging this is what they say. This is what they claim they charge. Some of the escorts I've seen that are like really attractive, they claim they charge like $2,000, and I'm like,
for the good ones.
Yeah, for like the highest end ones.
Okay.
Like top shelf, top notch, like Instagram model. They say they charge $2,000, and I'm like, $2,000 is like, even to a man that makes $100,000 a year, $2,000 is a lot of fucking money for one night.
She probably doesn't want middle class clientele.
Yeah, no, but $100,000 a year, like pretend, like theoretically, you make $100,000 a year. Mm-hmm. Would you even consider that? I don't know.
I mean, if $100,000 a year, if you're in California, you probably have a disposable income of anywhere between $0 and $30,000 at the most.
Right. So yeah. So $2,000 is not really in the budget, I would say, right?
Yeah. No, not for me.
You literally have to be like $500,000 or like $300,000 a year to afford like one night, like spending $2,000 in one night.
Maybe if it's like a good special occasion,
Yeah, maybe. That's the only thing I can consider for your birthday or something.
You got to a $2,000 hooker. Wow.
Yeah.
Or sorry, lady of the night. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Lady of the night. YouTube friendly. Stay YouTube friendly.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like the podcast, Fresh and Fit, I believe Myron's coming from a more traditional background. Mm-hmm. So, is it good for society? That's a good question too.
Okay. So this is my next theory. Okay?
I'm gonna do that. Go ahead and talk about this. I'm just gonna do my thing over here.
Okay. The next theory is that I believe every man in this country, just because we're becoming so, like I said, the wages haven't gone up in so many years, blah blah blah. I believe that it's time to legalize prostitution in America. I believe it's time for things to get, like, for sex work to just be more normalized in a sense. Just because right now it's unsafe. So there's like a million reasons to not get a prostitute right now, like in America. And I don't know if things are different in Canada, because that's where Abba and Preach are from. But
okay.
There's a million reasons to not do it now. Right now, it's It's very common to get robbed. Number one.
Yeah.
Being robbed is not an uncommon occurrence when getting a prostitute in America currently. And let me tell you, that's one of my many fears. Number two, getting an STD. I cannot explain to you the deathly fear I have of STDs. Like, I have a crazy amount of anxiety from STDs.
Well, yeah, it's something that's with you for life.
Yeah, depending on which one, but yeah. So that's part two, and yeah, so just safety and STDs are my main ones. But if things were legalized, and price. I said that earlier, price. But if things were legalized, in theory, we could be living in this utopia where women are just like marijuana. Think about marijuana when it was illegal versus when it's legal. Okay? Marijuana when it's illegal, you go to your dealer in a shady back alley and you don't know what you're buying and you're scared and you're giving him the money and he's worried you're a cop, you're worried he's a cop, and you smoke it and it's garbage. It's like horrible weed.
Yeah.
That's what's happening with prostitution currently. Is
Right.
that it's shitty weed. It's like buying shitty weed before it was legal.
Yeah, because assuming, even if it's legalized, there will obviously be a black market for that kind of stuff. But, if you go to, if they do legalize it, you could have workers' unions, you could have, there'd be regulations, the quality would be regulated, so there'd be kind of a floor that is at least decent. I'm not like I know what decent prostitution is, but, it would imply federal standards, especially for health and well-being of the client.
Yeah. So in theory, every time you visit a brothel, a legal brothel, you're going to be able to see the prostitute. It's going to be a safe environment for you to participate in. Not only that, the prices will go down, sir.
You think so?
The prices for a quality lady of the night will be lower.
See, I feel like prices would go up, but that's my opinion.
That is your opinion, but look at weed. At one time, the guy at the back alley, he had a friend who knew a friend who had a phone number, and he's had the best in town, quote unquote. But since he knew he had the best in town, he was selling it for crazy amount of money. And you were paying whatever it costs because I guess you wanted the best, right?
Right.
Now you go to the corner dispensary, you look them right in the eyes and tell them what's the best shit you have. They show you the best stuff, and let me tell you something. If you think whatever they're charging for their best stuff is too much money, you tell them, come on, the dispensary down the street has a similar product for a cheaper price. And that's free market capitalism, baby.
Absolutely. Sorry, 1 second.
All right, no worries. But yeah, that's my overarching point, and that's what I believe in when it comes to prostitution.
Right. I guess if it were ever legalized, I think we'd have to kind of be basically an honest, just kind of be open about it, and just be honest about it, and kind of be mature about it, because because if we legalize it, it's almost like we have to make a distinction, like, hey, look, not all, obviously this exists already, but you know what I mean? Like
think about Amsterdam. Amsterdam already has this implemented, and
right.
From what I've heard is that it's a good experience. You could have a bad experience, but that's like everything in life.
Their culture is also different in its views of, I think, just of sexuality in general. I think Europe does tend to have a different culture around that.
Because another thing that people might say that is I'm incorrect on is that because in Nevada prostitution's already legal outside of Las Vegas, Nevada, in other counties, apparently those places charge a lot of money and the quality's okay. But my rebuttal is that they have no competition. There's only one place in the entire United States where you can get a legal prostitute. So yes, obviously when you go to the one legal place, it's expensive as
Oh,
shit.
I see what you're saying. So price competition. Yeah, that's a real thing, and that probably would happen if there was greater competition. Oh, what's going
Yeah,
on
if
here?
we turned it into weed. But anyways, do you think we beat the horse to death?
Have we beaten the horse to death? Well, I don't know. Let's talk about OnlyFans. Speaking of which, okay, sorry, yeah.
Break it down to it.
Okay, so in regards to OnlyFans, apparently they are no longer allowing sexually explicit acts to be shown on OnlyFans, where they are allowing nudity to be shown through their content creators.
Yeah, what a sad state of affairs for men. I mean, at this point, if you try and justify to me that you have an OnlyFans or you participate in supporting OnlyFans behavior, I'm judging you so heavily because at least before, like, okay, in theory, in some sort of scenario, I'm like, okay, if you're paying for OnlyFans to see a girl that does the exact thing that you need or like you want to see, that's one thing. But at this point, you're just a trick. You're just like a simp. You're a beta male. If you're supporting OnlyFans,
No, this is totally on men. Yeah.
yeah, if you're supporting OnlyFans beyond October to only see a girl nude, I want you to Google the word boob.
October is when this takes place. So we'll see, if their numbers drop off or whatever after that time period.
Please Google the word boob. You will get 2 billion results. Do not pay for things that are free. Please, for the love of God.
I know. Jeez, dude.
Man, we've lost our way.
Yeah, I can't imagine it, like paying for that stuff because, some people drop a shit ton of money. Some people drop like thousands of dollars on these girls for them to basically say hello to them. And it's just like, dude, is your life really that bad that you need to do this?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I see a scenario where a guy would need that, but I can't relate to it very much. I mean, even at times where I've had dry spells, I was never the guy who was like, oh, that's the thing though. OnlyFans wouldn't satisfy any of my needs. Like, it wouldn't be anything that I'd be interested in.
Right, because like if you're texting, like I've texted girls before, but that's all. I mean, it led nowhere, and that's where this would lead. It would lead nowhere. You wouldn't get anything out of it.
Yeah,
you can meet them. That's happened, but you're not going to get anything more. Well,
no, and that's the fantasy they sell you, bro. Like, you're never gonna meet them.
No, and they probably have, boyfriends. What's the point?
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
I don't know. I can think of a million reasons as to why you shouldn't get an OnlyFans, but yeah, waste of money for sure.
Yeah, and I judge anybody who has an OnlyFans. There's so much better things you could do with your money, and like I said before, it's like why in this country are men forced to spend money on OnlyFans or like go to the strip club? I guess if you want the real quote unquote real thing, I say legalize prostitution and let men get the legit stuff if they want to pay for it. Don't force everybody to be like beta males and go to okay, do you consider prostitution a beta male like option, or do you consider it just like anyone can do it?
I consider it that like anyone can do it.
Versus like OnlyFans, which paying for OnlyFans, I feel like it's 99% beta males.
Yeah, because I feel like if you're like an alpha male, you're probably on Tinder or Hinge or whatever, and you're getting the girls. I feel like those guys are not. I feel like they're in a position where they don't need to pay for it; they're getting it. And I feel that's what I'd want, where I'd want to be personally.
Yeah, it's
like, would you rather? I mean, this isn't a good analogy, but like, would you rather be able to buy a Ferrari, or would you take out a mortgage on your home to pretend that you can afford a Ferrari?
Yeah, that's true. Or like, yeah. Or
some people are just that good.
It's crazy. Some men's mentality is so twisted that they would even think that's a good thing. Anybody who ever listens to this, don't pay for OnlyFans ever.
Please
Especially because there's Pornhub's literally free though. That's what drives me crazy. That's what drives me crazy. Like Pornhub is literally free.
And you can message these girls on Instagram. The porn stars are on Instagram.
Yeah, I guess if you really want to talk to them.
Yeah, no guarantee you'll get back to.
I don't know why you would. Like I
think there's even like interactive porn. Well, it's not. It's like a live show, and you can basically like have a super chat with them.
Yeah. Oh, you could do like the super chat thing, but even that, I don't support any of it, bro.
Yeah, I think it's kind of it's a moral issue for sure. It's kind of like, what do you want to stand for? Because these things, no matter what people want to say, do have an impact on society. A lot of people may not see it, but broadly, trends do exist and do occur. And
these women make money off lonely, desperate, beta male men. And it's sad. Like, that beta male man that pays for OnlyFans, he should be able to use that money instead of paying this OnlyFans woman.
Yeah.
He should be able to go to his local brothel, pay for I swear, like, pay for an escort, have a good time.
You think he would do that if
I think if the option was available to this man, like this desperate man, like, and I feel for him. Like, I don't think negatively of him necessarily. I think he made bad choices, but if he had the option to go to a brothel, I think he would.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, this is a broad, expansive topic, and it definitely deserves a recurring segment so that we can discuss it.
Yeah, we need to touch on it another time. But
yeah, I guess my big fear is that if it becomes more acceptable to do this kind of stuff and it becomes promoted or encouraged, I should say, there's the real risk that men will kind of perceive women as more just of like I don't know, an object or just something to be ignored rather than another person, I feel like that's a real risk that could develop in the long term if this isn't approached with, I don't know, a sense of honesty and maturity.
Wow. Yeah, I think you have a point in the other direction. Yeah, I feel that. Where if all sex work was kind of hidden away and made illegal, then we'd be forced to look at each other as more than sexual beings. But then again, I don't know. I feel like men, we're hardwired that way. So what do you want us to do? We look at women as sexual objects.
Yeah, and I think that's fair if women look at men, for their success or how well off they are. If that's what they're attracted to and that's what they're hardwired to be attracted to, well, we can't change anything about that.
Yeah.
We just have to kind of realize, okay, if that's the way things work, how do I adapt? Pretty much, how do you adapt?
And that's what the red pill's about, is how to adapt to the modern day.
Exactly. Yeah, because it does. I mean, you can't just understand, how women act. You do need to understand the modern world and where people's views are. And I think that's probably the bigger issue, is that over time, I think women have developed their own culture that men have really not had a lot of contact with. So I think a lot of men just don't understand what women are thinking half the time, and probably vice versa too.
Yeah, but okay, that's kind of that topic. The OnlyFans topic. Would you ever support OnlyFans girl?
You mean pay her on OnlyFans?
Yeah, would you ever?
Would I ever?
Yeah. You ever been tempted?
I'm thinking of the funny thing I could do, if I could mess with her and get her to do something funny, but nah, probably not. I think it'd just be a waste of money. It'd be like buying a lottery ticket knowing you're gonna lose.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. But yeah, would you ever date an OnlyFans girl?
Maybe.
You would?
Maybe.
Seriously though?
I mean,
or just to hook up with?
I just probably just to hook up with. I mean. I'm of the opinion that a lot of people who do some sort of performative art or anything like that probably have some personal issues, so they probably wouldn't be good to be around too much. But I don't know. I can't say. I haven't met any yet, at least that I'm aware of.
True.
But this is LA. I mean, we should be running into them left and right, so I don't know what's going on.
I feel you. Okay, so you want to call it?
Yeah. It's time to leave. Thanks for listening, and we should be working right now, guys.
Yeah, it's been a good one. Same time next week, we'll be putting this out, and stay tuned. More things to come, more podcasts to come.
Peace.